Regional Indian erotic web series often operate on shoestring budgets, yet they consistently rack up millions of views, dominating digital streaming conversations entirely outside the mainstream theatrical ecosystem. To understand how these shows grip their audience, we have to look at the atmosphere of the household. We can hear it in the isolated, looped sounds of domestic life, the rhythmic stirring of tea, or the heavy sizzle of kheer frying in a pan. This specific case study relies on a very rigid caste dynamic, a domineering older brother and his secretive wife at the top, with a flirtatious younger brother and an innocent sister-in-law occupying the subordinate roles. This traditional family structure creates a vacuum of taboo. It is a highly pressurized environment where every societal rule acts like a dam holding back an immense weight, creating a space where the slightest crack feels catastrophic. On the surface, the house is a blur of perfectly mundane activities. Characters sit around eating ladoos. They discuss fluctuating village land prices. They scold the younger brother for ignoring his stock market textbooks. These routines are a carefully constructed facade. From the very first frame, the narrative intent is to engineer a creeping sense of tension by constantly teasing the audience with the possibility that these sacred family boundaries might finally give way. Linguistic subversion allows characters to load innocent, everyday dialogue with heavy double meanings. It gives them a way to flirt aggressively in a crowded room while maintaining a shield of plausible deniability. In this scene, the writers hijack the mechanics of gilli danda, a traditional childhood street game. The act of striking the small wooden peg with a stick becomes a thinly veiled extended metaphor for sexual anatomy. The characters use the terminology of the game to communicate their desires right in front of the elders. They argue about the grip and the depth of the hole, hiding their actual intentions in plain sight. This forces the viewer to become a decoder. You are pushed into a state of active complicity, scanning the faces of the older family members to see if they've managed to catch the subtext hidden in the conversation. Underneath the words, the rhythmic, repetitive clack of wood striking wood serves as an auditory metronome, subconsciously ticking upward to escalate the scene's underlying pressure. This subversion proves that the danger lies in the thrill of speaking the forbidden aloud, relying entirely on the hope that the wrong person doesn't understand the vocabulary. Tension also stems from the weaponization of secrets, shifting the balance of power through manipulation and control. The dynamic pivots when the wife catches her younger brother-in-law in his bedroom, reading a hidden adult magazine instead of studying his financial textbooks. In this specific household, the stakes are severe. If the domineering older brother discovers the contraband, the younger brother faces ultimate family shame, creating an immediate and high-stakes opening for the wife. The transactional exchange is immediate. She demands a kiss in return for her silence, transforming a moment of family discipline into an act of sexual coercion. This secret token tips the scale. The traditional household hierarchy is effectively inverted, placing the subordinate wife in a position of total control over the male heir. The auditory cue here, the crisp, slow rustling of glossy magazine pages turning, emphasizes the tactile reality of the evidence that granted her this power. The eroticism in these series is fueled by the thrill of illicit power and the specific acts of blackmail that make that power possible. The final requirement to release this manufactured pressure is the physical removal of the household's authority figures. The script meticulously clears the property. The older brother is called away to the village for a land deal, and the husband leaves for a long shift at the office. In Indian media, the empty house acts as a definitive starting gun. The physical departure of the elders signals to the characters and the audience that suppressed desires can finally be acted upon. The domestic background noise of the household drops out, replaced by the heavy, echoing sound of an iron deadbolt sliding shut from the inside. Without the physical barrier of patriarchal authority standing in the hallway, the manufactured tension is given permission to boil over into consequence-free action. Why do millions of viewers actively seek out these highly formulaic, taboo-heavy narratives? It taps into the psychological fantasy of the forbidden. Viewers use these stories as a safe sandbox to experience the breaking of strict societal rules without enduring any real-world fallout. While conservative reality demands obedience and modesty, the series presents an ecosystem of chaotic, secretive freedom where those expectations are dismantled. The explicit acts are secondary. The true product being sold to the audience is the adrenaline spike that comes from the transgression itself. The architecture of Secrets proves that the most intense moments happen in the whispers behind closed doors.